Holiday season is right around the corner, and that usually means gift buying. You can spend a lot of money on a big gift, or get a smaller gift like a stocking stuffer. But shopping can be a hassle, so we're here to make it easy, as it's time for Stocking Stuffer Gadgets Tested. First up on our list is something I saw and I had to check out. It declares itself a tiny arcade game, and in this case it's the classic Pac-Man. So let's get into this packaging and pull the little game out of there. This thing looks exactly like an actual arcade game. It's a pretty heavy-duty construction considering it's made out of plastic. It's preloaded with batteries, so let's turn it on and wow, check that out. It's got the actual Pac-Man screen, a little joystick, and the original Pac-Man sounds as well. On the back is a little keychain hook, although I think this is too big to actually put on a keychain, but you could easily attach it to something like a backpack. Now, this world's smallest functional arcade game comes in a bunch of different styles, and I also picked up Galaga, which was one of my favorites. These screens are pretty small, so it makes a challenge pressing the buttons and using the little joystick, but it can be done, and the smaller your fingers are, the better off you'll be. So I think these are pretty cool to bring back memories playing these old arcade games in a tiny way. I'll give the smallest fully functional arcade game a super rating. Vinyl, one of the original ways to listen to music. It kind of disappeared when CDs came out, but now it's making a comeback. This next gadget claims to bring a new twist to vinyl listening. It's called RockBlock, a wireless portable record player. So let's pull this thing out of the box and check it out. It's surrounded by a couple of pieces of black foam. There's an instruction manual and a small USB cable. It's just kind of a rectangle made out of wood. It's got a small little thing that looks like an antenna, and on the underside is a small power switch, a little USB port, a volume control, and a little button for pairing, and a cartridge with attached needle to play the record. Flipping on the power switch immediately activates the little blue flashing light for Bluetooth pairing. Alright, so let's grab a record and see how this thing works. So laying it down on the record, it begins to go. Spinning around the record, it appears to be tracking the grooves, and it's just intermittently playing the music off the record through its enclosed speaker. So after fiddling with this thing for a little while, I was finally able to get it to track, and it just suddenly started playing the music. But if you listen closely, it just is not tracking accurately. It's kind of warbling the music. The speaker is marginal at best for doing this, so let's try the Bluetooth function and see how that works. Unfortunately, after a few minutes of trying to get this thing to pair, my phone would never see the Bluetooth coming off of this RockBlock. It's kind of a cool idea, but it does not really work that well, so unfortunately the RockBlock gets a stinker. Next up is the smallest stocking stuffer gadget on the list. I like all kinds of tools, especially multi-tools, so when I saw this 10-in-1 credit card comrade, I thought I would test it out. So let's check out all these tools. The first one is this little baby. It's got a handy bottle opener and a couple of screwdrivers. And on this end, whoa, a pretty decent looking serrated knife and a position wrench. And you gotta have a compass and also a small magnifying glass, maybe for starting a fire. On the far end are two tools. One is a toothpick because dental hygiene is important, as well as a teeny tiny pair of tweezers. On the longest sides are two rulers. One is in inches and the other in centimeters on the other side. So let's test out this serrated blade and see what it's got. Well, I tried it up against some thin metal. It's almost tin, and it really couldn't get a grip on it because of the serrated teeth in the blade, so it couldn't really cut that too well. So I'll move on to a piece of wood, and the serrated teeth are now grabbing and cutting a pretty decent groove in that wood. Also in that tool is a position wrench that'll really only hold a small size nut, this size or even smaller for the other two slots. Now on to the next tool in this credit card multi-tool. This has a couple of screwdrivers, a big slotted screwdriver, which isn't really that big, and then a small slotted screwdriver, which is small and could also work as a Phillips. And lastly on that tool is a bottle opener, which should be pretty straightforward, but I don't know. I could not get a grip on that cap. It's just too small, and the edges on this thing are too sharp. I was afraid I was going to cut my finger on one of those screwdrivers. Really difficult to try to get the top off of this bottle. I set the bottle down, and I finally just winged it, which I could have just done with virtually anything. All right, so what about this teeny tiny magnifying glass? I assume it's to start a fire, so I took it outside in our hot Florida sun, and I tried to ignite some Instafire with it, and I did not have any luck whatsoever. So I tried paper towels. Maybe that would work. I could not ignite the paper towels with this magnifying glass. Too small of an area to create enough heat. The Comrade is small enough to fit inside a wallet, as they claim, so it is really a credit card-sized tool, but based on my testing, the magnifying glass, bottle opener, and screwdrivers were a little bit disappointing, and that's almost a third of the tool. So unfortunately, the 10-in-1 credit card Comrade is a stinker. And while we're talking tools, let's take a look at this next one. It's the LightMine Professional, a hands-free magnetic light. It's got the shoplifting-proof plastic on it, so we'll cut that away and pop it out of there. And you gotta love it when batteries are included. So we'll install these 3 AAA batteries in the Striker LightMine and fire this baby up. It's got a pretty bright LED light, and on the second press of the button, the light gets brighter. Well, it claims 120 lumens, which isn't blinding, but it's a decent amount of light. And it also has a red light as well, and the second push on the button will make that red light flash. So everybody's got a flashlight, but the cool thing about this is it has 11 neodymium magnets all around this Striker light, which allows you to stick it in places where there's metal, like possibly under the hood of your car in an emergency, or most circuit breaker boxes are made out of steel, so it would work there too in case of a blown fuse or power outage. So for design and functionality, I gotta give the Striker LightMine a big thumbs up. And lastly on our stocking stuffer gadgets tested is the Brewhouse Chillers. Everybody likes a cold soda or beer, but nobody likes a warm soda or flat beer. So the Brewhouse Chillers claim to fix that problem. They claim by using these, you can drink and enjoy your cold soda or beer longer. So let's see what these things are all about. Pulling them out of the packaging, we can see that they're 2 stainless steel rods with a cap on the top. So let's put this thing to the test and see if it really works. According to the instructions on the back of the box, you're supposed to freeze the chiller for a minimum of 45 minutes. So in the freezer they go. Right before it was time to pull those chillers out of the freezer, we went ahead and grabbed 3 ice-cold brewskis and uncapped them to get them ready for the test. We dropped a thermometer in to get an accurate reading of how cold these beers are right out of the refrigerator, and they settled in just a little bit above 40 degrees. We've got our frozen chiller, and after taking 1 small gulp to make room for it, we stuck it in the bottle and sealed it at the top. Then it's time for a funky shirt koozie. We'll wrap our second bottle in that, and our third bottle is going to have no protection from getting warm. So after about 15 minutes, which I figure is a pretty decent amount of time for a beer or soda to get cold, I popped the chiller out of the first one and stuck the thermometer inside. And we're getting a reading of about 48 degrees in the chiller beer. Okay, let's pull that out and put it in the beer that had the koozie around it. And surprisingly, the temperature is pretty close, only about 1 or 2 degrees warmer. Okay, quickly into that beer now that is unprotected. And the temperature is again about 1 or 2 degrees warmer than the koozie protected beer. Now, even though the chiller tube is hollow and you can drink your beer or soda with it in, I'm not sure if the couple of degrees difference between the koozie and no koozie at all is worth the hassle of having these. I mean, you have to put them in the freezer, you have to keep them ice cold, and they have to be ready at a moment's notice when you want to keep your drink cool. So the Brewhouse Chillers get a big stinker. So that's this week's list of stocking stuffer gadgets tested. I hope you enjoyed this video and it saved you some time and money. And if you'd like to check out my other product review videos, click the screen. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.